Ever wondered how the world would be if it were either too hot or too cold? Welcome to our deep dive into the fascinating world of climate, a complex interplay of temperature, precipitation, wind, and more. Unlike weather, which can change from minute to minute, climate is the long-term pattern of these elements. It's the big picture that gives us our scorching summers, freezing winters, and everything in between. Climate is more than just a backdrop to our lives. It shapes our homes, our food, even the clothes we wear. Picture the lush, verdant Amazon rainforest, teeming with life, or the stark, icy beauty of the Arctic tundra. These diverse landscapes are all products of their unique climates. From the smallest insect to the tallest tree, every living thing is deeply intertwined with its climate. It's a delicate balance that has evolved over millions of years, and it's one that we're only beginning to understand. Climate sets the stage for life on Earth, shaping the world as we know it. Have you ever noticed how different parts of the world experience diverse weather conditions? Welcome to the world of climate zones, the broad geographical areas on our planet that share similar weather patterns. Let's start from the top, literally. The polar climate zone, a place of extreme cold, blankets the north and south poles. Tucked away at the highest latitudes, these regions huddle beneath a sun that barely peeks over the horizon. Think of the Arctic and Antarctic. Vast expanses of ice and snow where few creatures roam. Now, let's slide down a bit to the temperate zone. This zone, lying between the polar and tropical zones, is known for its mild climate with 4 distinct seasons. The sun shines at a moderate angle here, and this zone is further influenced by its proximity to large bodies of water. Oceans, seas, and large lakes help to moderate the temperatures, leading to more comfortable conditions than the extreme cold of the polar zone or the sweltering heat of the tropical zone. Speaking of heat, let's now venture to the tropical zone, the belt that straddles the equator. Here the sun is king, reigning overhead almost all year round. This zone is characterized by high temperatures and a lot of rainfall. It's the home of lush rainforests, teeming with the highest biodiversity on the planet. But what determines these zones? It's all about factors like latitude, altitude, and proximity to water. Latitude is the distance north or south of the equator. The closer to the equator, the hotter it gets. Altitude is the height above sea level. The higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Lastly, proximity to water also plays a big role. Water has a high heat capacity, which means it can absorb and release a lot of heat, moderating nearby land temperatures. Understanding these zones helps us see how climate plays a role in the diversity of life on our planet. Each zone, with its unique climate, shapes the life that exists within it, from the hardy polar bears in the Arctic to the vibrant toucans in the rainforests. Isn't it fascinating how the world works? Do you believe our actions can change the world's climate? This might sound like a question straight out of a superhero comic book, but the reality is closer than you might think. As humans, our activities have a profound impact on our planet's climate, and the evidence is all around us. Over the past couple of centuries, we've been rapidly shifting the equilibrium of the Earth's climate system, largely through the burning of fossil fuels and deforestation. Imagine for a moment all the cars, factories, and power plants around the world, puffing out smoke day and night. These activities release massive amounts of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases trap heat from the sun, creating a sort of thermal blanket around the Earth. This is what we call the greenhouse effect, and it's the main driver of global warming. Now let's talk about deforestation. Trees are nature's vacuum cleaners. They absorb carbon dioxide, helping to regulate the Earth's climate. But when we cut down forests, we not only lose these natural carbon absorbers, we also release the stored carbon back into the atmosphere, further exacerbating global warming. Together, these human activities have led to a significant rise in Earth's average temperature over the past century. This phenomenon, known as global warming, is causing a cascade of changes in the Earth's climate system. It's altering rainfall patterns, intensifying heat waves, melting glaciers, and raising sea levels. But it's crucial to remember that climate change isn't just about temperature. It's about shifts in long-term weather patterns and extreme weather events. It's about the wildfires that rage, the floods that devastate, and the droughts that parch our lands. Our actions have consequences. They ripple through the Earth's systems, creating changes that will affect generations to come. But as we steer the Earth's climate, so too can we steer our actions towards sustainability and resilience. Our actions today will determine the climate of tomorrow. The choices we make now will shape the world we leave for our children and grandchildren. And that's a responsibility we all share. What happens when our climate changes? This question is no longer hypothetical. We're living through the answers, and they're far from comforting. Let's start with rising sea levels. As the Earth warms up, glaciers and ice sheets melt, sending more water into our oceans. Over the past 100 years, the global sea level has risen by about 8 to 9 inches, but it's not evenly distributed. Some places are experiencing more drastic increases, threatening coastal cities and low-lying islands. Millions of people worldwide could be displaced, leading to significant social and economic challenges. The changing climate also brings with it a surge in extreme weather events. From devastating hurricanes to crippling droughts, these aren't just natural disasters, they're climate change in action. The intensity and frequency of these events have been increasing over the past few decades, and as the planet continues to heat up, we can expect these trends to continue, if not worsen. This means more destruction, more displacement, and more cost in terms of human lives and infrastructure. But it's not just us humans who are feeling the heat. Our planet's biodiversity is under threat as well. As habitats change or disappear due to shifting weather patterns and rising temperatures, many species struggle to adapt. Some are forced to migrate, while others face extinction. This loss of biodiversity doesn't just mean fewer animals and plants, it can also disrupt ecosystems, affecting everything from food chains to disease control. These changes have profound implications for human societies and economies. They can lead to food and water shortages, affect health and livelihoods, and even spark political and social unrest. It's a domino effect, where the fall of one piece can set off a chain reaction of consequences. So what happens when our climate changes? We see rising sea levels, more extreme weather events, threats to biodiversity, and far-reaching impacts on our societies and economies. It's a complex and interconnected web of effects, with each change rippling out to touch every corner of our world. Climate change is not just an environmental issue, but a global concern that affects us all. Can we make a difference in the fight against climate change? This question is not just rhetorical, it's an urgent call to action. As guardians of this planet, we have the power and the responsibility to usher in a sustainable future. But how exactly can we achieve this? Firstly, we need to address the elephant in the room: greenhouse gas emissions. These invisible culprits, primarily carbon dioxide and methane, trap heat in our atmosphere, leading to a global temperature rise. To tackle this, we must cut back on activities that generate these gases. This means reducing our reliance on fossil fuels in favor of cleaner, renewable energy sources, such as wind, solar, and hydropower. Imagine a world where cities are powered by the sun and the wind, where cars hum along on electricity, and industries thrive without belching out smoke. It's not a far-fetched dream. It's a realistic goal that is within our grasp if we embrace renewable technologies. We must also promote sustainable practices in our everyday lives. This involves making conscious choices about how we live, from the food we eat to the products we buy and the way we travel. Opting for plant-based meals, choosing products with minimal packaging, and using public transportation or carpooling are just a few ways we can reduce our carbon footprint. However, this isn't a solo mission. To make a significant impact, we need a collective effort. Governments, businesses, communities, and individuals need to work together, prioritizing the planet over profit, fostering innovation, and enacting policies that protect our environment. Remember, every action counts. Whether it's switching off lights when not in use, recycling, planting a tree, or advocating for climate policies, each step we take brings us closer to a sustainable future. So let's not wait for the future to happen to us. Let's shape it. Let's rise to the challenge and take the reins of our planet's destiny. Because each one of us has a role to play in shaping our planet's future. Ready to ace your geography exam on climate? Let's review the main points we've covered. We started with understanding the different climate zones, their unique characteristics, and how they shape the world we live in. Then we delved into human impact on climate, exploring how our actions have altered these natural systems. Our journey took us through the profound changes our planet is experiencing due to climate change, and the effects these shifts have on ecosystems, human societies, and the economy. We ended on a hopeful note, discussing the steps we can take towards a sustainable future. When studying for your exam, focus on understanding these key concepts, rather than memorizing. Use diagrams to visualize and remember complex ideas. And remember, link these topics to current environmental issues. This will give you a real-world context and deepen your understanding. Knowledge of our climate is not just for passing exams, but for creating a sustainable future for all.